Seniors, stop taking these 3 vitamins. They are destroying your leg strength. Did you know that 3 common vitamins, the very ones you might be taking every morning, could be quietly weakening your legs and stealing your independence? It sounds unbelievable, right? But what if I told you that vitamin E, vitamin A, and vitamin B6, when taken in excess, have been linked to muscle weakness, nerve damage, and even increased risk of bone fractures in older adults? If you've been feeling more off balance lately, if your legs feel a little heavier than they used to, or if you've been tripping more often and brushing it off as just getting older, then this video might be one of the most important things you'll watch this year. Because the truth is, aging doesn't always cause weakness. Accumulation does. And what do you think is helping you? Maybe quietly working against you. Today on Buddhist Health, we uncover the risks behind these 3 popular vitamins and how they can damage leg strength over time. But that's not all. We'll also explore how lifestyle habits like sitting too long or over-supplementing can slowly erode your mobility. What you can do to restore your body's strength through mindful eating and natural sources of nourishment. And a powerful Buddhist lesson about knowing when to let go, even when it's something you thought was helping you. And don't miss the final part of this video, where I'll share a profoundly moving story about an older man, a handful of pills, and the quiet wisdom he discovered too late. It's a story that may change how you look at your health journey. So grab a warm cup of tea, sit comfortably, and walk through this together, with clarity, kindness, and compassion. And before we dive in, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Buddhist Health, and share this with someone you love, because the more we learn, the more we can heal together. Let's begin. Vitamin E, the hidden muscle thief you never saw coming. It usually starts small. Maybe it's the slight wobble when you get up from the couch, a momentary pause as you find your balance, or that subtle fatigue in your legs after what used to be a simple walk around the block. You tell yourself, "I'm just getting older." You blame it on the weather, the chair, the shoes, the day, anything, but the bottle's sitting innocently on your bathroom shelf labeled vitamin E. How could something that's supposed to be good for you, something you've seen advertised with glowing skin, a strong heart, and anti-aging promises, be the thing quietly weakening the muscles that carry you? And yet, that's precisely what may be happening. Unlike vitamin C or B-complex vitamins, which dissolve in water and are flushed out of the body relatively quickly, vitamin E is fat-soluble. That means it gets stored in your liver, stored in your fat tissues and stored for weeks, sometimes months, accumulating with each passing day, each passing dose, quietly building up like layers of dust in a forgotten attic. And for seniors, this matters more than most realize. As we age, the body's ability to metabolize and regulate fat-soluble vitamins becomes less efficient. The natural filters slow down. So while you may take an over-the-counter supplement with 400 IUs of vitamin E each day, your body may accumulate more than it can safely manage. Slowly, silently. Research has shown that excess vitamin E can interfere with neuromuscular function, the delicate communication between your nerves and muscles. Over time, this interference can translate into diminished coordination, loss of strength, and muscle fatigue, especially in your legs. That means the foundation of your mobility, your thighs, knees, calves, may begin to weaken, not from disuse, not from age alone, but from something you've been trying to do right, taking your vitamins. It sounds unfair, doesn't it? Let me tell you about Barbara. She's 72, independent, lives alone. She drives herself to her bridge group every Tuesday and shops for groceries every Friday. After reading that it supports heart health, her son gave her a bottle of vitamin E a few years ago. So she added it to her routine. Months passed. She noticed getting out of bed was harder. Her legs felt sluggish. One day, she stepped off a curb and nearly collapsed. Her doctor ran a blood panel. Her vitamin E levels were 10 times the normal range. No one told her vitamin E could do that. Because most bottles don't have warnings, no label says caution may cause muscle weakness or balance issues in seniors. There's just the promise of immune support and anti-aging benefits. But here's the truth. What supports you at 35 might not serve you at 70. That's not fair talking. That's physiology. Too much vitamin E doesn't cause noticeable symptoms at first. It doesn't make your skin break out or give you a fever. It simply dulls your muscle strength, just enough that you notice, but insufficient to be sure why. Until it's too late. Until the fall. Until you can't reach the bathroom fast enough or find yourself holding on to railings more than usual. And this is where awareness becomes everything. Not panic. Not guilt. Not shame. Just awareness. Ask yourself, am I taking vitamin E because a doctor prescribed it? Or because I assumed it was good? Have I checked how much I'm getting, not just from pills, but from fortified foods and other supplements? Do I feel steadier or weaker than I did last year? When was the last time I brought this up with my doctor? You see, wisdom in aging doesn't mean saying yes to everything. It means knowing when to pause, question, and choose differently. There's a quiet power in that. Because strength doesn't just live in your muscles, it lives in your awareness. And no vitamin, no label, no marketing slogan should override that. Now that we've uncovered the hidden risks of vitamin E, let's talk about the next vitamin that wears the mask of vision, beauty, and skin health, but maybe slowly eating away at your bones. Let's talk about vitamin A. Vitamin A, the false promise behind fragile bones. There's a kind of comfort that comes with routine. You wake up, pour your coffee, and take your morning pills, maybe a multivitamin or something for your eyes or immune system. And if you're like many older Americans, one of those supplements likely includes vitamin A. It's a name we've all heard since childhood. Good for your vision. Great for your skin. Supports your immune system. It sounds wholesome, natural, safe. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Vitamin A, when taken in excess, can quietly erode the very structure that keeps you standing, your bones. Especially the bones in your hips, legs, and spine, the pillars of mobility, balance, and independence. Most people don't realize that vitamin A is also fat-soluble, just like vitamin E, which means, yes, it builds up in your body. It doesn't just come and go with the day. In older adults, whose kidneys and livers may not process nutrients as efficiently, buildup can have serious consequences. We're not talking about immediate reactions. There's no rash, sharp pain, or swelling to warn you. The effects are quiet, gradual, invisible, until they're not. What happens is this. Over time, high levels of vitamin A begin to interfere with bone remodeling, the natural process where old bone is replaced with new. Instead of supporting bone health, as many assume, excess vitamin A increases bone resorption, which means your body breaks down more bone than it builds. The result? Lower bone density, brittle structure, weakened legs, fragile hips. So the next time you misstep off a porch or slip on a wet tile in the kitchen, that little fall doesn't feel so little anymore. That's how fractures happen. Often from the kind of stumble that, just a few years ago, wouldn't have even left a bruise. And with every fracture comes something more profound. A loss of confidence. A hesitation to leave the house. A fear of falling that shrinks your world more than the break itself. I remember a man named Charles. Vietnam vet. Tough as nails. Worked in construction his whole, but at 74 he slipped walking his dog. Just a gentle trip on a sidewalk crack. The fall shattered his femur. X-rays later showed signs of advanced bone thinning. His doctor asked about his supplement routine. Turns out he was taking cod liver oil, a popular natural source of vitamin A, along with a multivitamin that also contained high-dose retinol, every day for years. No one had told him to stop. No one had told him there was such a thing as too much. But that's the trap, isn't it? We assume more is better. More vitamins, more protection, more insurance against aging. But as any wise person knows, the truth isn't always what it looks like. Just because something seems beneficial doesn't mean it is, especially when taken without guidance, moderation, or understanding. And sometimes, the very thing we take to stay strong becomes why we break. So here's what you need to know. If you're taking vitamin A supplements, especially in the form of retinol or cod liver oil, check your dosage. The recommended daily allowance for adults over 70 is 700 mg for women and 900 mg for men. And it adds up fast. Between multivitamins, fortified foods, and specific eye health supplements, many seniors unknowingly exceed safe limits daily. But dosage is only part of the story. The bigger message is this: question the assumptions. Talk to your doctor. Ask for a bone density scan. Be curious about what you're putting into your body. Not just because it might harm you, but because it's an act of deep self-respect to pay attention. Because protecting your health in later life isn't about stockpiling pills. It's about making choices with clarity. You've earned the right to move through the world with strength, steadiness, and dignity. Don't let misplaced trust in a shiny label rob you of that. And now that we've explored the silent damage of vitamin A, we need to turn our attention to something even more surprising, a vitamin most people take for energy that could be disrupting your nervous system and destroying your sense of connection to your legs. Let's talk about vitamin B6. Vitamin B6, the energy pill that steals your sense of self. You took it because someone said it would help you think more clearly. You heard it boosts metabolism or supports the nervous system. Vitamin B6 appears in many multivitamins, brain supplements, and energy pills. It promises clarity, focus, and vitality. But what if that same supplement is why you've started losing connection with your legs? It's a strange feeling that doesn't hit all at once. It creeps in quietly. First, it's a tingling in your toes, nothing alarming, just a subtle sensation. Then your balance feels off. Your steps aren't as sure as they once were. It's as if your legs are slightly delayed, reacting a beat too late to your mind's instructions. Eventually, there's numbness not just in sensation, but in confidence. You stop walking so far. You avoid stairs. You start sitting more and moving less, not because you're lazy, but because your body feels foreign. It's like someone slowly turned down the volume on your connection to the ground. And you didn't even notice it happening. That's what vitamin B6 toxicity can do. Unlike other water-soluble vitamins, which usually exit the body through urine when taken in excess, B6, specifically in its synthetic supplement form, can build up over time. And when that happens, it doesn't just float harmlessly in your system. It interferes with your peripheral nerves, the ones that carry signals between your brain, spinal cord, and limbs. This disruption causes peripheral neuropathy, which affects your ability to feel and control your legs and feet. And for some people, the damage doesn't go away, even after stopping the supplements. That's what happened to Mr. Evans. He was 79. A retired engineer, proud to live alone, fiercely independent. He took a brain booster supplement every day that contained 100 milligrams of B6, well above the recommended safe levels. He never thought to question it. After all, it was just vitamins. But he started noticing that he couldn't quite feel the floor anymore. He said walking across the kitchen felt like walking on pillows. He tripped over rugs that had never bothered him before. One morning, he looked down and realized he wasn't entirely sure where his feet were landing. His neurologist diagnosed him with sensory nerve damage. Blood tests confirmed dangerously elevated B6 levels. But even after he stopped the pills, the feeling in his feet never fully returned. He told his daughter, "I never thought something meant to keep me sharp would end up making me stumble." And that's the heartbreaking truth, isn't it? What we take to help us age well can sometimes accelerate what we fear the most. We associate energy with motion, clarity with control. But too much of a good thing, especially when taken out of habit, not need, can lead us down a road we never meant to travel. This is where the wisdom to pause becomes essential. Because there's a difference between taking charge of your health and clinging to every pill that promises to fix aging, there's a moment, quiet, powerful, where you stop and ask, is this helping or harming me? In Buddhism, there's a teaching that says, knowing when to stop is a form of profound wisdom. Even water, when too abundant, can drown. When it comes to B6, more isn't better. The recommended dietary allowance for adults over 70 is just 1.7 milligrams daily. Yet many over-the-counter supplements contain 50, 100, even 250 milligrams without any warning label. And the damage isn't always reversible. So if your legs have been feeling odd, if you've had unexplained tingling, numbness, or balance issues, don't just chalk it up to age. Ask questions. Check your labels. Ask for a nutrient blood panel. Because the earlier you catch it, the better your chances of reversing it, or at least stopping it from worsening. You don't need to be afraid of vitamins, but you need to know what your body needs now, not what it might have needed 20 years ago, or what some bottle claims is essential. You're not weak for stepping back. Sometimes the strongest move is knowing when to stop. Next, we will take a step back and connect the dots. Because when you look at vitamins E, A, and B6 together, the picture becomes clear. It's not just about what you take, it's about how well you understand what takes from you. It's not age that's making you weak, it's what you're not paying attention to. Let's take a step back. We've talked about 3 common vitamins: vitamin E, vitamin A, and vitamin B6. Each one on its own can potentially disrupt your strength, balance, and sense of self. But here's the hard truth. The real danger doesn't come from one supplement. It comes from the silent accumulation. You don't notice it right away. One pill in the morning, one multivitamin at lunch, a fortified snack in the afternoon, another capsule just in case. Day after day, year after year, it builds quietly, softly, almost politely, until the things you used to do without thinking start feeling just a little bit harder. And you blame age, because we've been conditioned to. We're told that losing your strength is just part of getting older. That muscle fatigue, joint stiffness, slower reflexes, and that strange tingle in your feet are simply signs of aging. But what if they're not? What if the real story isn't about age, but about what your body is trying to carry without support, balance, or proper care? Let me say this clearly. Age alone doesn't make you fragile, but ignoring your body's changing needs does. That's what makes vitamin E dangerous when taken without limits. That's what turns vitamin A from a helper into a bone thief. That's what turns vitamin B6 from an energy boost into nerve damage. And if that were all, it would be enough to pause and rethink what we're putting into our bodies. But there's more, because it's not just what you ingest. It's also what you do or don't with your body daily. Let's talk about habits. Think about how many hours you spend sitting on the couch, at the kitchen table, in the car and waiting rooms. Think about how often you stay still because it's easier or safer, or you don't feel like moving. It's not laziness, it's not weakness, its momentum is in the wrong direction. The less you move, the harder it is to move. The longer you sit, the less your muscles remember how to lift, bend, and balance. The more you disengage from your body, the more distant it becomes. That's not age, that's a habit. And just like too much vitamin A silently dissolves your bones, too much stillness dissolves your strength. But here's the good news. If the problem is accumulation and habit, then the solution is awareness and change, and both are within your reach. Because once you see the pattern, you can interrupt it. It starts with the simple question: is what I'm doing today helping me stand stronger tomorrow? That question alone is powerful. It redirects your focus, not toward fear or regret, but toward ownership. So what does that look like in practice? It means being curious, not complacent, about your supplements. It means asking your doctor about nutrient blood panels, rather than assuming more is always better. It means paying attention to how your body feels, not just pushing through discomfort and calling it normal. And it means moving, even just a little. Even just a few minutes of stretching, walking, or standing at the counter instead of sitting at the table. Because motion is memory. And every time you move, you're reminding your body what it's capable of. This isn't about blame. This is about responsibility, with compassion. Because the truth is, you weren't given all the correct information. You weren't told these vitamins could backfire. You weren't warned that sitting too long could age your legs faster than your calendar ever will. But now you know. And with knowledge comes clarity. And with clarity comes the most potent medicine of all: choice. So, where do you go from here? Let's talk about real support, not pills, not promises, but food, movement, awareness, a shift in mindset that meets your body where it is, not where marketing says it should be. Because healing doesn't always mean adding more. Sometimes it starts with letting go of what no longer serves you. Don't just supplement, eat like someone who respects their body. If the problem is silent accumulation, the solution isn't to panic. It's not to toss every bottle into the trash or swear off all supplements forever. It's about something much more grounded and human: the way you eat. Because long before we had multivitamins and powdered nutrients, we had food. Real food. Grown by the sun, touched by the soil, harvested with care, shared around a table. Food with texture. With a story. with timing and rhythm and seasons. Food that didn't just fuel your body, but connected you to the world around you. Today, we've replaced that with pills that promise more than they deliver. But you can return to a better way, not as a diet or a trend, but as an act of wisdom. Let's start simple. What do your muscles, bones, and nerves need to stay strong? The answer isn't glamorous. It's not exotic. It's not even expensive. Your body needs magnesium, potassium, calcium, and clean protein. Magnesium is the quiet hero. It helps your muscles relax, your heart rhythm stay steady, and your body produce energy. You'll find it in dark leafy greens like spinach and chard, pumpkin seeds, almonds, and even a square of good quality dark chocolate. Potassium? It keeps your cells hydrated and your nervous system functioning. Bananas, sweet potatoes, avocados, lentils, and beans. Not just health foods, real foods. Comfort foods, affordable and accessible. Calcium, as you've heard, is crucial for your bones. But it doesn't just come from dairy. You'll also find it in broccoli, bok choy, sardines, and fortified plant milks, especially when paired with vitamin D from sunlight or foods like wild-caught salmon. And protein? You don't need to chase powders. A piece of grilled chicken, a fillet of salmon, a bowl of black beans, a handful of walnuts, these give your muscles what they need to stay firm, functional, and ready to carry you through life. The key isn't perfection, it's presence. Because how you eat matters as much as what you eat. When you rush, eat distracted, food becomes background noise to TV or stress or scrolling, your body doesn't receive it the same way. Digestion is disrupted, nutrient absorption decreases, you feel full but not nourished. That's why, in many spiritual traditions including Buddhism, there's a practice of mindful eating. In Buddhist teachings, there's something called the four requisites, a reminder of how to use what we consume wisely. One of those requisites is food. The teaching goes like this: we eat not for indulgence, not for pride, not to grow beautiful or strong, but to support this body with balance, to walk the path of clarity and care. Translated into everyday life, you eat not just to survive, but to serve your highest health. Not excess, not restriction, just intelligent care. So what would it look like to eat like someone who truly respects their body? It might mean choosing fresh, seasonal produce from your local market instead of packaged superfood bars. Preparing simple meals at home, with fewer ingredients but more love. Take a breath before your first bite. Chewing slowly and noticing taste, temperature, and texture. Putting your fork down between bites. Thanking your food, not out loud but inside, for showing up to nourish you. This isn't about rules, it's about returning. Returning to a relationship with food rooted in care, not control. When you don't rely on labels to tell you what's healthy, you feel it in your energy, balance, sleep, and walk. And maybe that's the real medicine we've been missing. Not more additives, but more attention. Because when you eat with intention, your body responds, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. You feel grounded, present, respected. And from that place, strength grows naturally. In a moment, we'll go even deeper. Let me share a story with you that may sound ancient, but speaks directly to what we're facing today. It's about a man who clung too tightly to what he thought was helping him, and learned, perhaps too late, that sometimes wisdom is found in knowing when to let go. The Old Man and the Pill, a Buddhist story about letting go. Long ago, an older man lived alone at the edge of a quiet village. He had once been a carpenter, hands strong, back steady, feet always grounded in the earth. But now, at 81, his body was different. His balance had faltered. His legs weren't what they used to be. Still, he took pride in being independent. He woke at dawn every morning, boiled tea, and lined up his pills. A neat little row: vitamins, joint supplements, fish oil, memory boosters, dozens of them. He'd been taking most of them for years. "I don't trust doctors," he would tell his neighbor. "These keep me going." One winter morning, he slipped while stepping outside to check the mailbox. Just a patch of ice, nothing dramatic. But the fall was bad. His hip shattered. The ambulance came. Surgery followed. Then rehab. During his stay at the hospital, the attending physician, a young but compassionate one, sat beside his bed and gently asked, "Can we go over your supplements, sir?" The older man bristled. "They're mine. I've been taking them forever. They're not the problem. My legs are the problem." The doctor nodded. "Maybe, But you're taking some of these, especially the vitamin A and B6, in high doses. They can weaken bones and damage nerves. It might be worth rethinking. The man crossed his arms and turned his face to the wall. He wouldn't listen. He wouldn't let go. Even after he returned home, walking now with a cane, he kept the bottles, kept the habit. Told himself the fall was bad luck, that he just needed more time. He'd be strong again if he kept doing what he'd always done. Months passed, but his legs didn't come back. His strength didn't return, and his world kept shrinking, from neighborhood walks to the porch, the living room to the chair by the window. The bottles sat faithfully on his counter, like old friends refusing to be questioned. One day, a Buddhist monk came to visit the village. He had heard of the older man and asked to see him. The man agreed, reluctantly. They sat together in silence for a while. Then the monk pointed gently to the shelf where the supplements were lined up. "Do those still help you walk?" he asked. The man shrugged. "I've always taken them." The monk smiled kindly. Sometimes we hold on so tightly to what once helped us. We don't realize it's not what's holding us back. The room went quiet. The older man looked at the bottles, then at his legs, and for the first time he didn't defend them. He just nodded, because deep down, he knew. It wasn't about the pills anymore. It was about the story he told himself. That more is always better, that stopping meant giving up, that changing course was a sign of weakness. But in truth, knowing when to stop isn't weakness, it's wisdom. That visit didn't fix his legs, but something in him softened. He began walking more and eating differently, letting go, one bottle at a time. And in doing so, he found something he didn't know he'd lost. Peace. Here's the lesson. Aging doesn't ask us to keep adding. It invites us to subtract. Not to give up, but to give in to what's real, what our bodies are telling us, and what matters most. You don't need another pill to be whole. You need honesty. You need awareness. You need the quiet courage to say, maybe I don't need this anymore. Because healing doesn't always come from what you take. Sometimes it comes from what you're willing to release. And maybe that's the deepest strength of all. And there we have it. Today, we uncovered the surprising truth behind 3 common vitamins, vitamin E, A, and B6, and how, when taken without awareness, they can quietly weaken your legs, affect your nerves, and increase your risk of fractures. But more importantly, we explored how your strength isn't lost to age. It's taken by the things we ignore. The good news? You're not powerless. You now know what to look for, what to question, and how to make wiser, more compassionate choices for your body. You can rebuild by mindful eating, listening to your body, and letting go of what no longer serves you. You can feel strong again, not just physically but emotionally, spiritually, and wholly. If you've reached this point in the video, take a deep breath. And in the comments, write a simple affirmation to yourself. I choose strength, balance, and awareness. Your words have power. Your story can inspire someone else. And when we speak good energy into our lives, we make space for healing. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Buddhist Health. It's one small click for you, but it helps us continue sharing valuable, heart-centered content with others who genuinely need it. And always remember, healing doesn't begin with another pill. It begins with understanding, with presence, with you. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the following video.